Hello, welcome to Chronicle Live and UFC on Facebook and YouTube. In the last half an hour or so, just been confirmed that 5 players have extended their stay on Tyneside. That is Murphy, Jacob Murphy, Dwight Gale and Federico Fernandez have all been offered new deals and have accepted them. So they will sign on. Paul Dummett and Fabian Schär have had their deals extended as well. The club had an option to extend their stay and they've done that. There is no mention on the length of the contract deals for Murphy, Gale and Fernandez. And there's no mention of Andy Carroll, who has, we believe, a deal on the table. We don't know if he's going to accept that yet or not. So that's still playing on in the background. But really good news, I think, especially for Jacob Murphy. I'm sure many of you guys watching would have been impressed with the way Murphy performed last season. He was kind of he came out of the blue, didn't he? And when you look at the points that he actually won Newcastle, they'd be in a much worse position without him in the side. He struggled at first at that wing-back role, but then made it his own, and you would expect him to be first choice going into the new season. That those talks about a new deal have been ongoing. There's been some reported interest from the likes of Burnley, even some teams abroad as well. Rangers were strongly linked. So great to see Jacob Murphy sign a new deal. When you hear him speak about the club, you can really see how much it means to him. Of course, he's a boyhood Newcastle United fan. We've all seen the photographs of him and his twin brother wearing the blue away shirt from what was it, 95-96 season. So you really get a sense of what it means for him to play for Newcastle, that sense of pride. And it's been really nice to see him progress as a player. It looked like his career on Tyneside was probably going to be over. A couple of loan deals didn't really work at Sheffield Wednesday, West Brom before then. So really good to see him get a deal, and be interesting to see how he progresses further his career on Tyneside next season. Dwight Gale is one that I've seen a few people comment on and ask, what's the basis there? I guess from my point of view, you look at Dwight Gale, I think he's a decent enough Premier League striker. I know he hasn't got the best goal scoring record, but he's not really been afforded a chance in the past season or so to prove himself. We know he's got an injury record, which does need to improve. But Steve Bruce has constantly told everybody what a big fan of Dwight Gale he is. So it'd be really interesting to see how he fits into the team going forward. Obviously, Callum Wilson, we all saw the pictures yesterday of him returning to the training base over in Benton. He looks hopefully fit and ready to go for the kickoff next month. So Dwight Gale not necessarily going to be first choice if Callum Wilson's fit and potentially another striker comes in. It'll be interesting to see the dynamics there. But he's a decent backup, and I guess you're looking at it, it protects the value, protects the asset, and you were probably looking to spend quite a bit if you did get rid of Gale to bring in someone of his qualities. You put the ball in front of him and he's likely to score, isn't he? He's not the worst striker to have to turn to if you need to, as long as he's played in the right position. We all know that didn't quite happen when he did get the opportunities last season. I think the Chelsea game was a good example of that. But nevertheless, good to see. I think him signed up. It gives you a decent backup. And then Federico Fernandez, 32, full of experience. I thought he performed really well last season. Again, I kind of want to know that goes under the radar. Just does the job. Good leadership. Good in the air. Calming influence. And I think he'll be really key going forward in this season as well. And I'm just happy to see that deal signed, because we need that experience in the dressing room. We need those kind of leaders. I think he makes Lascelles look a bit of a better player. And Paul Dummett as well. He's as we say, has extended his deal. So be interested to see how Newcastle approach next season. Will it be 3 centre backs? Will it be Fernandez, Dummett, and then Lascelles if fit comes in? It'll be interesting to see. It was Kraft towards the end of last season. Be interesting to see who starts. We're going to dive into some of the comments here. We've got Steve saying he's very pleased that Murphy was offered a new deal and accepted a new contract. I think that's probably the consensus of many people. And we've got someone commenting on my red wall in the background. Yeah, sorry it's not black and white. I do apologise for that. Fabian Schär, a decent Euro 2020 campaign. Lots of people wanted his deal extended, so he is staying into next season. A bit of interest on the continent, so good to see Newcastle managed to secure that one. And Paul Dummett, we've mentioned there, he described himself as Mr. Ronseal, didn't he, earlier last season in an interview with the club. Constantly given 7 out of 10. He's well aware of what we all think about him. Just does the job. He's consistent in what he does. Great performer. I think he's looked really well actually in that centre back role. I think I think he's adapted really well. I think many people always thought he would end up in that position as well. I think he's probably got a good cause to hope to say, look, I should be starting next season in that role. I thought he did really well towards the end of last season. He also picked out a couple of really good passes for a few goals towards the end of the campaign. So it'll be interesting to see if that continues on. But positive news, we've got the Castore announcement last week. We've got the little tease of the home kit that was released yesterday due to be released this Saturday. It looks really nice, embroidered. It looks like the logo is going to be embroidered, which I think everyone's really happy with. That's going to be key. Black and white stripes. Can't wait to see what that looks like. We've got the players back. The training ground for pre-season. We'll have the first pre-season game coming up shortly as well. So everything's just moving nicely. We just need to see some transfer movement now. We know Joe Willock is the priority for Newcastle United. Arsenal seem keen to have a look at him, but they've also been linked to just consistently with midfielders in that position. I counted 4 yesterday that were thrown about. So it'll be interesting to see who does arrive at Arsenal. It'll just have that snowball effect, and hopefully Newcastle are at the front of the queue. Hopefully permanent deal. If it's a loan deal, not the worst thing in the world. You can bring him back in, because it's certain. One thing is for certain, Newcastle will need someone of his quality to bring in if they don't get him, and they can't, in my opinion, hold on until the end of the transfer window on the hope that he will come, because if they finish the transfer window without Joe Willock or someone of his type, then they're going to be stuck, and it's going to cost them. We're going to dive back into the comments here. Barry says he'd like to see Elliot Anderson given a go. I think that, again, is a consensus of many people. I think, though, it would be good to send him out on loan and give him that chance to get a consistent first-team position somewhere in the Championship, maybe League One. He had plenty of interest last season. I think it would be key that he can have a season out like Sean Longstaff did at Blackpool, where he's consistently playing, and it gives him that chance to improve and develop. Because if you're just including him in the squad and he's getting a few substitute appearances every 4 or 5 games, or he's just getting the cup games, and that will harm the development of a player. And I think, my opinion, send him out on loan in the Championship, get him to a decent side, get him in that run of games. We saw how Dan Boleza performed at Rotherham as well. Paul Dummett is a good example of that. He went down to Gateshead, didn't he, very early in his career, came back after a loan spell there, and it's paid dividend because he's a Newcastle regular and he's just extended his deal. So I think a loan deal for Elliot Anderson would be key. Paul says we need some good centre midfield players. Willock showed what we've been missing. Well, hopefully Willock will be back. We know, like I say, that's the priority, but it'll be interesting to see what the future holds for Matty Longstaff. Will he go out on loan? Will he be sold? Will Shelvey still be the number one choice? Will it be Sean Longstaff? Isaac Hayden was pictured back in training yesterday, so he doesn't look like he's too far away. Hopefully he'll be available for the start of the season. So there's choices there, but I think they do need, like we say, Joe Willock or a type of his player, and probably in the centre midfield as well, just to add a bit of quality. Also got Jeff Hendrick as well. We've got Darren Lee Wells here talking about Woodman, and this is an interesting one because we all know the quality of Freddie Woodman, but we all know the quality of Martin Dubravka, and Martin Dubravka's nowhere near the end of his career, and it's about getting that balance right, isn't it? Do you sacrifice Martin Dubravka and put Freddie Woodman in, knowing that he's going to be here for another 20-odd years potentially, football career-wise? Or do you try and... It's difficult. It's a dilemma that Steve Bruce has to sort out, and it's a difficult one. Freddie Woodman clearly wants first-team football. He's had it for the last 2 seasons down at Swansea. Obviously, Swansea didn't get promoted from the Championship, so that, if they had been, that probably would have maybe made the decision a little bit easier. Freddie Woodman was another one pictured back at training yesterday alongside Florian Lejeune. Muto was there as well. So them lone players are back into the fold, getting their fitness up. It'll be interesting to see how long, how they fit in. We've got Patrick Kelly asking how long the contracts are. Not sure. Didn't announce them in the press release there. So yeah, it's a question I don't know the answer to, unfortunately. You would think Murphy probably here long term because he is a player who impressed, and he's still got a bit to go in his career. Well, that was the announcement there. Then I'll just recap for those joining us late. 5 players have extended their stay at Newcastle United. Murphy, Gale, Fernandez all accepted new contracts, while Paul Dummett and Fabian Schär have extended the deals. There was a 1-year option, I think, on that, and they've extended that as the club has confirmed. Head over to chroniclelive.co.uk. You can see what Steve Bruce has had to say. There was a quote or two from Bruce on those deals, and thank you very much for joining.